If you're an Android user looking for a great way to listen to your podcasts, check out the Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store. There are thousands of good reviews out there telling you how great it is, so you don't have to take my word for it. Check out the Podcast Republic app on the Google Play Store and get the best way to listen to your podcasts on an Android device.
If it feels like your favorite podcasts have been kidnapped, check out the Podcast Republic app. You favorite your favorite shows and they go right to your phone, so you don't lose any of your favorite shows.
If you haven't lately, visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to check out all the cool stuff we have available there, including a Bill and Ted bonus episode that you heard a clip of before, and a whole bunch of other great bonus content if you become a member at the $5 level. That's patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Lano, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who knows that the higher the body count, the higher the likelihood that Trip will enjoy a movie. The Macho Mandrew.
Andrew Lano. I have some thoughts about this movie. Well, I was going to say, I was going to make a joke, but I don't want to ruin my good punchlines too early.
I think that we both have some thoughts about this movie. We are finishing this month of anniversaries, although I don't know, there might be more anniversaries to come, but at least this month's double anniversary set. And also 2 Bill Paxtons and 2 the gentleman who plays Bennett, whose name I've forgotten already.
Wait, who is the Bennett guy in Weird Science?
He's the leader of the gang of baddies.
Oh, the one with the metal face?
The one... No, I believe he's the Mohawk guy.
Oh.
Yeah. It's amazing
How
what the
far
mustache
apart
can
are
do
these
for
movies in years? I don't remember. Is it because this is 85?
They are literally both from the same year.
How did Bill Paxton get like? He's like basically a cameo in this movie, and then in Weird Science he's like a character, and then they flip flop for Weird, so that the other guy is the cameo in Weird Science and a lead in this movie. I'm confused.
Well, Bill Paxton wasn't exactly like this type of person you would think would get a leading role in a Commando movie, I don't think.
I'm not trying to say for this specific movie he should have been a lead. I just think it's crazy that you can be so featured in one movie and then be like, "Oh yeah, you're on set for 30 minutes in this other movie."
You got lunch.
You got half a day rate and a wet sandwich in a cardboard box.
I bet catering was very good on Commando. I would guess.
I'm
honestly.
sure Arnold got good catering.
Solid.
Arnold's over there breaking lobsters with his bare hands.
These are so delicious.
Everyone's eating like the one packet of saltine crackers they give you with soup at a diner.
I keep getting drawn butter on my clothes. Anyway, we watched Commando, and you know what that means.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go dissect the 80s. It's your not parody. Something's going on about your not parody.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott.
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I like what you said there.
I think it's apt.
But I will say, I think Tango and Cash is sillier.
Yes, but I think Tango and Cash has more silliness, but this has bigger silliness, which to me is the benchmark of a parody movie.
See, to me, this is like if Terminator had a completely inept person driving the boat.
This to me felt like someone saw a stunt show at a theme park and was like, what if that was a movie?
The last section of this absolutely is just a movie stunt or a theme park stunt show for sure.
It's like the ground, the gunshots on the ground where it's just like puffs of air and people doing flippy dippies and all kinds of stuff.
There's a lot of like, we'll get to it, but there's a lot of really acrobatic jumps in the last bit, which I thought was really fun.
Arnold's also basically a superhero throughout this whole movie. Like he's
not even basically a superhero.
He can lift however much weight he chooses.
Figure. Yeah, it's more honestly like a child with an action figure.
Yes.
Than it is a superhero movie where it's just like, oh, he does this now, and you're like, well, I didn't know he had that power, and you're like, well, he does.
And you're like, He-Man's gonna lift Barbie's dream car.
And you're like, well, that doesn't really jive logically with the other world you're creating, and it's like, I'm 6. Shh.
I'm 6, nerd.
Yes, exactly. Like nobody wants to calculate the force.
And he leaves out of the room.
Stop it. Yeah, exactly. Sucking on a lollipop. The I did want to say right off the top, this is written by the same person who wrote Die Hard, which I found really surprising because this is so stupid. Yeah, so
Die Hard's like a real movie.
Yeah, no, Die Hard is like a whole interesting plot hung on this thing. I will say there are more than one person credited for writing both, but the guy, oh man,
when was Die Hard? Was that
Stephen E. D'Souza has the screenplay credit and then also is a story by credit, and then on the screenplay for Die Hard, which is 88, I'm pretty sure. He has there's another person with a writing credit on that screenplay as well.
Any relation to John Phillip?
It doesn't say.
What year was Die Hard again?
88.
Okay. So I kind of feel like the flight attendant in this movie, I can see how she's sort of the framework for Holly Gennaro McClane.
Sure.
Like she has a backstory, she has clear interests, she's assertive, like she knows what's up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. She's actually the daughter of Tommy Chong.
I know.
Her name is Radon Chong. So she doesn't get a lot to do in this movie. The things she does get to do, I think she's excellent at, but it's really a bizarre. We'll just have to get into it because all of these things were
also she discovered Chris Pratt.
Is that right?
Yeah, at a bubblegum shrimp in Maui.
Oh my God, really?
A 19-year-old Chris Pratt was serving at the bubblegum shrimp in Maui, and she discovered him and put him in her first her directorial debut at the age of when he was 19.
How? That's not his weird extreme action movie, is it?
I don't think it is, as I don't think she directed the extreme action movie.
Okay, because there is a movie that Chris Pratt was in that basically doesn't exist anymore that I have spent like a considerable number of hours trying to track down because I just really want to see it.
The Pratt PR team has gone to great lengths to bury that movie.
I honestly don't even know if it's that so much. It's one of those movies that you watch and you're like, what's going on with this? And you're like, oh, is it money laundering? It might have been money laundering. Because I feel like a not insignificant portion of modern movies made overseas especially are like just money laundering.
It's just the producers.
In some weird way. Basically, yes. He's in a movie from 2003 called The Extreme Team, which is a Black Ops team of Gen X extreme sports athletes go to New Zealand to save a former member that has been kidnapped. And it's just like exactly what I think I want to watch at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Remember we had the Olympics idea, where the Olympic athletes are the ones who have to save the day.
So I'm going to put it out there again. It apparently came out in Australia, but there are no, like, you can't buy a DVD, you can't buy a VHS, and they never existed.
I didn't know. Well, I have to ask my friend from Australia and see if anyone in her family, like, has this.
It aired on television down there. It most recently, which is like going back several years now, it aired on television in China, supposedly, according to the internet.
Huh.
But it just doesn't exist. Because there are other people who are on the case alongside me trying to solve this mystery of like,
I'm
what
sure there are
happened to
threes
this
of
movie.
you.
Because there's another movie made like a year later with some of the same crew, but none of the same actors. It's almost like they money laundered and then they did it again. It's like the ashcan copy of Fantastic Four directed by Roger Corman that's kind of legendary in Hollywood.
What?
Roger Corman got paid to make a Fantastic Four movie in his like super cheap, low budget way so that the company that held the rights to the movies could keep the rights to the movies. Yeah. This is before the ones that you're aware of. So there's this like fully produced,
you mean Mr.
very
Fantastic,
low budget
Invisible Woman, Thing? Roger Corman?
Yes. Roger Corman directed a Fantastic Four movie in like 1993-ish, 1991, somewhere in there. You can find it like fully now. It's out there. It has like mostly in camera, low budget effects. Like the stretchy arm stuff is done low budget style. It's exactly what you think it is. I've not watched the whole thing, but I'm sure I will at some point.
I will check that out.
Anyway, if you have a lead on this Extreme Team Chris Pratt movie, tweet at us and let me in.
And also, if you have roller skates, still throwing that baby out there.
Just buy some damn roller
They're
skates.
like $100. There's no like $50 cheapo pair of roller skates.
Go on Facebook Marketplace and look up roller skates. Presumably someone has purchased them and realized they're not fun and will sell them to you. They're very difficult to use. Anyway, we start this movie with scenes of a dump truck or a trash truck like driving through a city, and it's like a really ballsy way to start your action flick, I feel.
Yeah, and they just murder a guy, the garbage men. But it seems
a man with a disproportionately attractive woman in bed with him to start the movie.
This is Hollywood.
Yeah.
A man at a 5 in Hollywood is a 10, but a woman has to be an 11 to be considered anything.
Right.
Although I thought it was weird that because they were like, oh, it's not the normal garbage day, and I was like, oh, that'll raise suspicion. People will catch on.
Yeah,
but that doesn't get brought up ever again.
No, he's like, oh, I thought you'd miss me, and then they just murder him.
They mow him down with like semi-automatic weapons, and that's it.
One of the two is Bill Duke, who has a pretty large role in this, and is also in Predator, not Commando.
Yes. And I believe he did some voice work that I think he does some DC Universe animated voice work.
That wouldn't surprise me. He does have a really good voice. I will say, one of the things, I try to say nice things about all the movies we do, even as we make fun of them. The squib work in this is outstanding.
Oh, the stunt
really good
squib
squibs
work
here
is amazing.
Yes. I think this movie is extremely stupid, but most of it I enjoyed. Yeah. But this first guy gets killed in his bathrobe. Like, first they shoot him and there's some good squibs, and then he's laying on the ground, and Bill Duke walks up to him and shoots him some more times, and there's even better squibs on the second round.
Yeah. The next guy gets murdered by a car in a showroom.
Yeah, he's like, you know what the best part about it is? It's free. And then he backs the car up and smashes into this man. So
do showroom cars just have... they have their full tank of gas, like.
So they have gas in them. Normally because they do drive. Like, you can see next time you're in a dealership showroom, if you look at, there's at least one doorway in there that like fully opens, so you can drive cars in and out of it.
I would have thought they would put it in neutral and like just push it, because it's not like you would push it very far.
It is probably something akin to that, but there's definitely going to be some gas in there, just because not having any gas in the car is wildly impractical for a number of reasons. But like, the last time I bought a car at a dealership, there was somebody wanting to test drive the showroom car, and they were like opening the doors and taking it out.
That's
I
cool.
think it was like a very expensive Mustang. My hunch is that there was some sort of like, okay, you can do this, but you do have to be like actually interested in buying this car. You know what I mean? Like, I assume it wasn't
we're
just
not
like
opening up the wall for anybody.
Yes, exactly. I assume that like maybe a credit card deposit had to be put down or something like that. But in any case, they can do that. So there is gas in them. I don't know how much would be my guess. Also, it would be, if you started it in the showroom, the guy would not be like, yeah, bro, fire it on up, see what it sounds like. He'd be like, oh, whoa, sir.
Yeah. Although I feel like now...
Also, the keys wouldn't be in it.
Yeah, I was going to say keys. And then in today's world, it just, with all the electric cars, they would have like showroom mode.
Yeah, there would not be just like, oh yeah, go ahead, fire it up inside this room and give everyone carbon monoxide poisoning. Very cool and good.
And then a guy blows up on a boat.
Yes. So I was doing some looking up of like how many people die in this movie, because in the first 3 minutes you get a guy gunned down and then the car run over. And then that is immediately followed with the guy, he blows up like 4 people on a boat. And in the death counts I could find for the movie, which range wildly because some of them are only Arnold and some of them are everybody, nobody includes this boat, because it's like you technically don't see them die. And I was like, I saw 4 people. Yeah, I was like, I saw 4 people on the boat at least, and then an explosion. I'm pretty sure they died.
Yeah, those people are dead. Unless, are they Bennett? Is Bennett on the boat?
No, these are just like random schlubs.
Okay. And then there's some real sweaty bicep close-ups.
Yeah, Arnold is glistening in this movie.
It is just bicep porn. And then
really
gay
is.
porn later.
Yes, I was every time that there's a close-up fight scene with two of these dudes, I'm thinking of you being like, is this porn? Are we watching porn?
Well, because it is the sounds of porn. It's all the grunting and,
for
moaning. Sure. So I'm like, what if we threw some sleazy sax under this? Like, what would that, I wonder, that would be a fun game. Is this porn or is this an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Maybe at the next live show.
Yeah.
Except I don't want to play porn. I think it would have to be a trick where
it's not going to be. We're not going to show like,
No, I know. I'm just saying
it,
the trick is like, oh, by the way, they're all Schwarzenegger. There's not been one porn.
Well, it's like that. This YouTuber I like said she used to do improv where the audience they would have people submit like the beginnings of porn. And they would play that and then stop as the sex was about to happen and then continue the scene. That was their like...
Oh, nice. That's fun.
Yeah, right?
We also get in this opening... This opening montage is like just sheer delight. Because all I could think about was them filming these bits. But Arnold is carrying this log. Like not a log. He's carrying most of the tree. He's carrying the significant part of it looks like a white birch. He's carrying this whole, what looks to be like, I think it's a white birch, if we're going to be specific about what type of tree it is. But it is the size of a telephone pole. He's just like casually carrying on his shoulder. And then he meets up with Alyssa Milano, his daughter, and this leads to this incredible montage of daddy-daughter time with...
It feels very like Three Ninjas, like a 90s kids movie. Like, you almost... If this wasn't Arnold, if this was just generic strongman... You would almost think that this movie was going to be about her.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, her dad gets kidnapped, and she has to, like, suit up.
She's doing, like, karate moves. He's teaching her bits. It does definitely have a Three Ninjas vibe. It is definitively not a Three Ninjas vibe.
No, it is not that movie, but you would be forgiven.
But it's human refrigerator Arnold Schwarzenegger and very tiny Alyssa Milano doing daddy-daughter stuff, which includes
it's basically
feeding a deer.
Like if I held a Milano cookie in my hand, like that's the size difference.
Yes, it is. But this montage includes feeding a deer out of their
bare hand. What?
Arnold kisses it at one point. He gives the deer a little smoochie on the nose.
Well, doesn't he have? He has a goat. He has weird animals now, and apparently that's like all his Instagram is just him hanging out with his animals.
At the beginning of this whole mess, there was this video that went around of him. He had just gotten an animal, and they named it after his character in Predator, which is eluding me right now.
Chief? No, isn't he called like Chief or something?
I mean, he probably has a name like that, but he has a last name that they call him by in Predator. People are screaming right now, like, "Oh my God, how do you not know?" Dutch.
Okay.
Dutch. But he's like in this video, it's him inside his house with a tiny horse.
That's what it is. It's a tiny horse in the house.
Yeah, and he's like, I just wanted to update you all. We're doing fine. We're having our stogie. Me and Dutch. He's named after my character in Predator. We're all doing great. Don't worry about us.
He's basically just like drinking dark liquor, smoking cigars, and hanging out with his weird menagerie.
Right.
Which is not a bad life.
He's definitely... No, he's definitely enjoying his retirement, or semi-retirement. He does act a little bit here and there. He's actually decent in the newest Terminator, I will say.
Okay.
The movie's just kind of, but he's decent. Anyway, the rest of this montage includes them getting ice cream.
The classic smush some ice cream in your dad's face moment.
Yeah. And I really like the part where they both have a cone of ice cream. They look like identical scoops of vanilla, but he leans over to give her a taste. And it's like, well, she also has vanilla. What are we doing here? It's not like you got sprinkles or something. It's just two plain cones here. Then they go fishing and she catches a fish and he like wiggles it at her and then throws it away.
Isn't there like walking on a log?
There's walking on a log and her doing this like karate elbow. They're swimming in a pool. He like throws her a little bit.
He effortlessly picked, like you would think she was like a CPR dummy. The way he's just like, swoop.
Right. Yeah. And it ends with them in the kitchen and the sign on the fridge is this little heart with like, "I love you, Daddy" written on it. And she's making sandwiches. He grabs juice out of the fridge and there's like normal size water glasses, a little smaller than a pint glass, right? Yeah. Maybe it's a 12-ounce cup. He pours 3 to 4 ounces of liquid into each of them. Why do you have such a large cup then? What are we doing here? Get a smaller vessel. Why are you getting such a large cup? And then she hands him a sandwich. He takes a big bite. Of course, there's sprouts or something in it. It looks very vegetarian friendly. And he's, what's in here? And she's like, oh, you wouldn't want to know.
When she said that, I was like, what is it, cat food?
Then she starts picking sprouts out of her teeth. Like, it's just a bad all-around situation. This is not a good lunch.
No. There's also there is so much steel drum in this movie, and I feel like do not understand why.
I think James Horner just got back from
It's
Jamaica.
like your divorced
it's the only
mom
explanation.
got back from vacation in the islands, and she's like, everything is steel drums.
She has one single braid.
She got the
in her
braid
hair.
with the bead, with the pony bead at the end. Yeah, it's so bizarre.
But yeah, it's so weird. The other thing that's weird is it's a combination of music very similar to, say, like Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes,
the theme for that is sort of like this. It sounds like rock music, but it's definitely electronic. And then the like all over it.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
I don't get that
because it's not like an island nation in the movie
it's not that
where
this
it's
movie
like at
doesn't
least
take
it makes
place
sense.
in Hawaii or
The Caribbean.
or yeah. I'm trying to think of where else I might think to hear a steel drum. It seems like it's just sort of generic America.
Yeah. He clearly has retired to somewhere in the western half of the United States.
Yeah, somewhere
He's
in the
like
mountains,
in like a Colorado. Yeah, exactly. And this chopper approaches.
The chopper shows up and land. Like it's a full ass chopper. It might even be more than one. They all land, and a man gets out and goes, John, are you in there? You didn't knock. Like, this isn't you walk, like, you're walking through the neighborhood.
I mean, I will say that a chopper landing on your porch is a little bit different than driving the car.
That's what I mean. But, like, the idea that he, like, lands a helicopter on the front lawn and just casually is like, John, are you in there? That's not the action that follows.
Maybe I'm crazy, but how about a call? How about a call ahead?
Right? Like, you might as well pull out a bullhorn at that point.
Yeah. And Arnold sneaks up on this guy, grabs his pistol out of his holster, and points it at him, which seems like an aggressive approach.
Well, it's that Terminator 2 thing where, like, you all point your guns at each other, and then you're like, you.
No, that wasn't Terminator 2. That was the other one we did on the podcast.
No, that's in Terminator 2 as well.
Oh. Who does that in Terminator 2?
Linda does it to the guy with the guns.
Oh, you're right. I thought you were talking about the part in Predator where it's like, oh, whatever you name, you son of a bitch, and him and
do the bicep.
Yeah.
It's that kind of mood, yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm watching this, I'm like, if he retired to this secluded mountain cabin to like get away and hide and retire, you just put a neon sign on it with your helicopters.
You're right. If this is supposed to be undercover, because he starts talking to this guy after, of course, Alyssa Milano says one of her 10 words in this movie that isn't daddy, that he promised he wouldn't go away again. Mm-hmm. He's talking to this guy, and the guy tells him all his friends are being killed, and he's like, I thought you gave them new identities. And the guy's like, I don't know, we tried. Which doesn't seem like an adequate response, but okay.
I turned it off and on again, I don't know.
So they have this little tete-a-tete where he's trying to get Arnold to come back and, help save the day, and the chopper lifts off, and immediately 5 dudes pop out with machine guns and just spray bullets everywhere.
It feels like you're on like the Great Movie Ride. Like, your tour guide was just like, I'll be right back. And as soon as they go around the corner, like a bunch of mannequins pop up with machine guns, and they start like wiggling back and forth.
So there were 2 guys left to guard the front door. One of them's dead. The other one takes a bullet in the shoulder. Arnold, Alyssa Milano, and this guy come inside the house. And Arnold says something about them being downwind. And the guy was like, did you expect me to smell them? And Arnold says, I did. And I was like, well, if you did, you didn't give anyone any warning. You could have.
Also, what do they smell like? Like,
how about like a get down?
Yeah.
Give me one of those.
I'm just confused though, because like all people have like people smell is people smell. You know what I mean? Like it should have been like, oh, I smelled, this
Gun grease.
gun grease, or I smelled like a Cuban cigar, like something,
or some weird specific brand of cologne or something.
Yeah, and he goes to his secret gun shed, like in Tremors.
Yes, and many other things. Terminator 2 is a good example of this as well.
For some reason, Tremors is just like my mental go-to for secret cache of weapons.
The Tremors one, though, good example, of course, but the Tremors one is interesting because it's not secret, it's just a huge room in the basement, and I always love when your gun room is like a secret thing. Like, in John Wick, this sequence that leads to him getting his guns out, this is barely a spoiler, but if you don't want to hear something about the beginning of the plot of John Wick 1, I guess mute, but he, like, gets out a sledgehammer, goes to a specific spot on the floor and starts like smashing the floor, and he digs down to where he like hid under the cement of his basement. So
it was a break floor in case of emergency?
Yes, literally break the floor in case of emergency. Keanu is just like working a sledgehammer for a couple of minutes in this scene, and he breaks the concrete up and pulls out this case of guns and weapons, or guns and
I'm picturing like
baby
Keanu from Bill and Ted doing that.
No, this is
like
this
mop
is
top.
Old.
Whoa.
No, this is the mop top is pretty close, honestly. His hair's long in that movie, but it's definitely more along the lines of like his back and hips look permanently ruined to Keanu. He moves like a wrestler these days, honestly, where you're like, oh man, the years have not been kind to you.
Your body is not what it should be.
Right. There's a great move as soon as he's like punches in this code, gets these guns, he jumps on the roof. It's like a parkour move.
But also, it looks like he then goes through the front door. Like, it looks like he has a front door area off of his roof, which is just banana pants.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He opens the door, and the guy who was shot in the shoulder now has had his throat slit, and he just, like, stumbles down. And there's one guy left from the bad guy party who have kidnapped his child, and he starts to do a little bad guy monologuing. Arnold's holding this huge weapon, and he looks out the window and sees the cars driving away, and the guy's like, you have to cooperate. And he goes, I don't.
And just shoots him in the head.
Right through the
head. So Arnold goes outside to his truck, and I'm not a criminal, but there's always a fistful of loose wires when you disable an engine in a movie. And I've seen my car's engine. Where are all those wires?
So
like it looks like a telephone like a 1950s telephone operator board, and you just ripped out all the wires. Like, I don't get it.
I will say it might be part of the fact. I mean, I don't know jack shit about cars. It might be that like older cars, there were more visible. Like there might have been 3 wires then and 1 wire now. You know what I mean? Okay. Like we've consolidated operations in terms vis-a-vis wires.
It's always like a fistful. Like in The Shining or in this. It's just, it's nonsense.
Yeah. The other part I like about this one in particular, although not every movie does this, they're all unconnected. They're not cut.
Yeah. Again, it looks like you reached onto the phone board and ripped out all the plugs.
Yeah. Because you can disable the starter wires in a car. Like, you could do that. I mean, not simply or quietly in a modern car because it's harder to get the hood open, but you could do that.
I'm now picturing like an 80s villain trying to do that to a Tesla. Like they try and pop at the front of a Tesla.
There's just nothing in there. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Somebody will do that gag in a very mediocre movie, I am sure of it.
I'm down for the idea of an 80s movie, like a Last Action Hero style, where like an 80s movie villain comes into today's world and is like trying to do cocaine with everybody, just like...
And everyone's like, nah, they pull their vape pens.
Yeah, like, I'm good, and they like Juul.
Yeah. So he decides to push start it, and at first I was like, oh, he's gonna like push start it and pop the clutch and chase. Nope. He just put it in neutral and is careening wildly down the hill with almost no steering control.
I am so confused by this whole segment because so like
is it because they recycle one shot 3 times and make this mountain seem like Everest?
So in my head, when you go down a mountain, you either go straight down, which seems like madness, or you are either circling or zigzagging. You're either circling the whole mountain or zigzagging on one side. Switchbacks.
Yeah.
Somehow are they zigzagging or circling? Because he's doing a straight line through their switchbacks.
They're doing switchbacks. Arnold is coming down straight. But the reason why it's confusing is because at least twice, it might be 3 times, they loop the same shot of his car traveling what looks like from left to right instead of toward camera.
Yes.
And it's confusing to the layout of the mountain, but they show the same shot of it, like, skittering over the things. But as somebody who plays a decent amount of video games with driving, I have often been like, oh, it'd be way faster if I just drove straight down the mountain in this car instead of doing that. I mean, many, many times I've done this, countless times in games where I'm just like, oh, I'm going to drive straight instead of taking the switchbacks. Oh, this car's ruined. I'll just get another one.
I'm playing a shark game where I was like, oh, I don't feel like swimming around this island. I'll just hop across it on my shark belly.
Yeah, exactly. So I get the inclination to want to go straight down, but the first thing that happens is he almost intercepts them, and there's like a near miss, and they keep driving and he keeps going down, but they would not.
That's what I don't understand is how did he catch up with them again? If that's not how physics works.
The premise of this movie is that Arnold, on a straight line path, misses someone on a switchback. They then proceed to do several more switchbacks faster than he can go straight down the hill, and then hits them. But all I wanted out of this is, like, it's much more satisfying to me, is if Arnold's car just smashes the shit out of one of the 2 bad guy cars.
Well, I think
and then they catch him.
He's probably concerned that baby Cookie's in one of those cars. And you don't want that cookie to crumble.
I suppose that's true. He doesn't know which one. I guess you're right. But as for a movie watcher, it would have been way more satisfying if he just because later
I also thought he was going to get out of the car, like he was going to do a tuck and roll. Because you in a car smashing into another car, you still get hurt.
And there's no airbags in any of the crashes in this movie, of which there are several. People are just getting thrown around into glass and wood and metal.
And this is where we see Bennett, who looks gay as hell.
Yeah, this guy. There's 2 things happening here with Bennett. The first is that he looks like your new stepdad Paul, who has a drinking problem.
You think Bennett looks like that?
Yeah, he's got a mustache and a crew cut, and his shirt's too tight. He seems like somebody who would drink a lot of Busch Lights.
I'm thinking Schlitz.
Sure, I'll give you that one too.
But his outfit is gay as hell. He's wearing chainmail and leather with a dog tag and like leather pants, and he has like a saunter.
Yeah, he's a real leather daddy.
It's weird. Which I was like, oh, I'm down for a BDSM gay villain. Like that's kind of a weird choice, but cool.
It would have been a total disaster. It would have been so offensive, by the way.
I know it would have, but like I still want it.
And he just a minute ago in the movie, Schwarzenegger was told that Bennett was killed. So this is a shock to him.
So that's what I was confused about, because they kind of like music sting on his face when he steps around the corner, and I was like, are we supposed to know who he is?
Absolutely not.
It was weird.
Unless you read perhaps the graphic novel tie-in or something. I can't imagine. But we did neglect to mention that Arnold's car does explode, and it is a nice practical car.
There's a lot of good explosions. Movie is
chock full of explosions that are a real delight. So he shoots, Bennett shoots Arnold with a tranquilizer, and he wakes up strapped to a table. And who's there but great movie scenery chewer Dan Hedaya.
Cher's dad and Clueless.
And he's playing the moderately deposed person of an unknown nation who wants to throw a coup there. And so this kind of illuminates a little bit what Schwarzenegger's band of mercenaries was doing, because it was always going to be some sort of weird government string ops. I mean, we knew that. But it seems like specifically they're like the murderers for hire that they send in to do coups and other various quasi-legal things.
Yeah, it feels very much like a Suicide Squad situation where if you die, no one gives a shit, but if you win, cool.
Also, no one knows.
Exactly. Like, they feel like they were the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but also that they're just doing icky things. Like every mission they did, I think from if you were to find out about what they were doing, you'd be like, well, why is our government doing that? Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
You're not a good guy.
I have questions.
So he's basically like, This is basically like, okay, we're going to put you on a plane. You're going to go murder the president of this country. I'll become the new president, and then you can have your daughter back.
It seemed weird that the deposed man was like, I can become president after he's dead, which, because I would like to see a flow chart.
I don't precisely understand how that works. It seems like his plan is kill the president, create a power vacuum, seize power, but he doesn't have the army. He doesn't have like
he's got
the
like a
necessary
handful
pieces.
of soldiers, but they...
Well, he has more than a handful of soldiers because this guy went to the putty squad / G.I. Joe recruitment center.
He went to Rita Repulsa and their little machine. But I mean, like, if you and your army aren't welcome or allowed in the country you're trying to overthrow, that feels like a major hiccup in your plan.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. So anytime we see Arnold Schwarzenegger in an airport, it's fun for me.
Well, also he says, I'll be back.
Like it.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Because this movie was like, the script is secondary. I feel like they figured out their stunts. Like they sent their second unit in first, and then they they filled in the rest.
Yep, that is exactly how it went.
What stunts did you film?
Let's see if we can string together a movie between. It's like how the Power Rangers, which I didn't put this together when I made that putty joke, but the Power Rangers was a Japanese show, and they filmed all the fights and the plot parts. And then in America, we bought it and just retaped the plot parts and used the fights, but they just were stringing together to make the fights make sense.
Yeah,
It's basically that same thing.
Well, and there was I don't know which version of, because there's 100,000 Power Rangers. There's one version of Power Rangers where, for some reason, we cast a child to play the Blue Ranger, even though in the fight sequence he's a whole ass adult,
a full grown man. Yeah.
So he's the only one that like had a full body transformation because they had to show him growing up to big size.
So he eats like a Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, he
power
eats a mushroom, eats
like,
a spinach, and it's just like bloop bloop bloop.
That's a great one. We also get, so he does say I'll be back, and Bennett, like, he walks away, and then Bennett like squeakily rolls down the window, which I really want the version of this where you're looking at the car and not at Schwarzenegger walking away, because it was clearly like a I gotta get a zinger back at him, because it takes like 15 whole seconds. Then he's like, I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. I hope you heard me. Did he hear me? He heard me.
He only gets down an inch, and he's like pressing his face through it, turning sideways.
Yes, I wanted that exact sequence. Because that's why they do the cutaway. Otherwise, it would be absurd.
I also forgot that airport security was like basically a punchline in the 80s.
Yes.
People they're walking through. There's no way these dudes don't have guns.
I think that part of it is that they don't have guns. Because they send two of them in with Arnold, and they basically are like, oh, if you try anything, we're going to kill your daughter.
Yeah, it's a weird ultra failsafe where they're like, we're sending two men in. One man's there to make sure you get on the plane. The second man's going to fly with you to make sure you get off the plane. And also, we're going to have men waiting on the other side to watch you come out of the plane. Like, this feels like a lot.
Oh my God. I want the secret, like, direct-to-DVD movie special feature thing that's just Dan Hedaya explaining this very complicated plan with a whiteboard.
He hands out bound copies of the plan to everyone around a big table.
All right, now flip to page 13. We're gonna skip a few bits. That's your introductory. Explains the healthcare plan. We do have dental. We do have vision. We do not have dependent coverage. I'm just gonna get it out there now.
I did not give you an FSA card. I'm sorry. You'll just have to budget.
Whoop, we cater dinner, not lunch. If you're here past 4, every other meal's on your own. There's a 60-day waiting period for health insurance. I'm sorry. You are Cobra eligible. That's out of pocket for you.
There is company parking. If you forget your parking pass, you will be towed.
We encourage carpooling.
And there are free gym memberships to encourage you to stay healthy and fit.
We need you to be in tip-top shape for all the murdering I'm going to be asking you to do in very short order.
Yeah, there's so many people involved in this plan that it's basically get on a plane, fly somewhere. It's not even like hijack the plane. It's fly. No, it's just get on a plane.
Get on it. Yes. And also, the only reason it exists is so that we can get this insane sequence, which is Arnold is like, at first I thought it was a Mr. T from the A-Team situation where he's afraid to fly because the door starts closing and Arnold's in like a full-on panic.
Yeah, he's a puppy dog.
Yeah. And he asked the flight attendant for a pillow and a blanket.
And I just thought gross.
Yeah, exactly. And then my note was, how is he going to kill this guy with a pillow and a blanket? Because I was like, I know what this is leading to.
I'm mad my brain didn't get there before the movie did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but instead of using the pillow and blanket, he sort of bends over like he's going to tie his shoe, smashes this guy with an elbow, grabs him around the neck, and then just crunches it. And then he just folds him up into the seat with the pillow and blanket like he's asleep.
And then the camera pulls back and you see that it's a full flight. It's not like they're the only ones. Like, if Dan Hedaya had been like, I bought out first class.
Yeah.
I would have been like, sure. But there's people in the seats in front of him.
There's people sitting 18 inches, 20 inches? What's the width of an airplane? Well, back then it was probably like 2.5 feet.
The guy behind me shifts in his seat and I'm doing a head turn.
Yeah. But there's a person sitting directly next to Schwarzenegger as he's assaulting this man to death. But I love that he like finds the flight attendant and is like, don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
And I was like, oh boy, this movie.
And then he somehow is able to. He says he's going to the bathroom.
It took me
and
a second to figure this. I was like had Wikipedia up and I like read the next sentence and I was like, wait, that's what he's about trying to accomplish?
It looks like he goes into the bathroom and then there's like a secret Get Smart elevator in this airplane bathroom.
No, he's in the plane dumbwaiter elevator thing.
I don't think that's I guess it must have been.
No, it is because it's in World War Z as well. There's when the plane takes out.
I bet it's in World War Z because Max Brooks likes Commando.
Maybe. I don't think he didn't write. Max Brooks didn't write the movie. I don't think.
Oh! I thought you meant the book.
No, it's in the movie. The plane's taken off out of Jerusalem, and a flight attendant like hits an up button that like brings an elevator up, and then surprise, there's a zombie in there.
Interesting. Okay.
So that is a thing, but he takes his dumbwaiter down, punches through some industrial fabric somehow with just his fingertips.
Yes.
And then
he first pokes at it with his fingers like he's trying to find the seam, and then he just goes like straight through and rips. And then you see that there's like a zipper that he could have just like
it's industrial coated canvas.
Yeah.
So he climbs down onto the wheels of the plane. I did a little research for this.
Okay.
What would you guess is the average takeoffs? Because at first I was like, what's the taxi speed? And then this plane is taking off. Like the wheels are starting to lift off the ground.
Yeah.
This is today. The average takeoff speed for a jetliner.
800 miles an hour?
150 is the average. So
I guess I was thinking like a jet plane. Okay.
150
makes a lot more sense.
A jetliner, 150 miles an hour. He's holding on to the wheel.
Yes, the wind alone, like a speck of dust, would blind you permanently. His cornea would be obliterated.
Yeah, right? And so he jumps off the plane into a body of water.
The best part about this, too, is this is one of many great dummy falls in this movie. But he jumps off and it turns to a dummy for like 2 seconds. And instead of it being like a dummy falling into water and then it's like Arnold swims out, it cuts from the dummy to Schwarzenegger just gracefully in a seated position, landing in a marsh, like sort of butt and legs first, and then just standing up and walking out of it.
He fell at 150 miles an hour from about 30 feet in the air into maybe 2 feet of swamp water.
There, I will say a little bit of addendum. There is a lot of like marsh grass stuff there. There's a little bit of cushion in the. Okay. I'm just gonna saying 10% more. Also, he isn't. Is the second that he lets go of the plane, he's not going 150 miles an hour. He's going like gravity, 9.8 meters a second.
Although, but wouldn't you, if you are at wouldn't the momentum have carried him theoretically?
I mean a little, but I think you would like the braking would be just like almost immediate. I like that we're doing a physics problem now.
I didn't even take physics.
If Arnold Schwarzenegger weighs 300 pounds and he's moving 150 miles an hour and he's 30 feet in the air, what is the speed at which he hits the ground?
Anyone who knows physics, answer that.
Well, like I said, it's 9.8. It's 9.8 meters a second, which is a number that we could use to calculate his terminal velocity, if nothing else.
Sure.
That's the weight of gravity. That's the
I
pull of
believe
gravity.
you, but I just don't. I didn't know that.
Why didn't you take physics?
I didn't have to. I didn't take a science my senior year of high school because I didn't have to.
Oh, okay.
And I took the baby math class senior year, where my probability and statistics, probstat, and the textbook.
I also took that class.
The textbook said elementary probability and crayon writing. It was crayon font.
I remember the teacher I had for that class. We would get our worksheets, and they were like pun.
It was
questions,
pun word problems.
Yeah, and I would just solve the pun, and then I would hand them to her, and she'd be like, "You didn't show any of your work," and I was like, "Are they wrong?" And she's like,
"Well,
no, but you." Look, we both know you didn't do this, and I would be like, "Eh."
That was me with my gym teacher freshman year.
Yeah,
we both know I didn't do all these workouts I wrote down on the paper.
Oh, I forgot you had you've told that before. I think you had the football trainer.
I had your football trainer, and he was like, I hope you don't think I think you did all this. And I was like, no, I'm glad you don't.
I just need to be on the record that we both know I'm not stupid.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, buddy,
I don't care, but I'm not stupid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the short guy, Curtis, who previously Schwarzenegger said, "You're funny, I'll kill you last," is harassing Radon Chong.
He's
who is
dressed
just
like a
trying to make
movie
phone
theater
call.
carpet from the 90s.
Yes. Also in a suit jacket that looks eerily reminiscent of the one from Weird Science, I felt.
A little bit, but I meant the pattern on his suit looks like 90s movie theater carpet.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He's being a creep and a jerk. Like she's on the phone and he's like chiming in on her conversation, and it's like, buddy.
I will say I've never done it myself, but I've seen people do the thing where someone's like obnoxiously on speakerphone in public and you just start getting in on the conversation and then they eventually stop, which
that is different. Speakerphone's different
Yes.
than I'm on a payphone on the.
Absolutely.
So much of this movie is predicated on payphones.
So much payphone
I was
work.
like,
just about
wow,
to say that.
payphones were important back then.
Yeah.
I don't even know the last time I saw a payphone.
I was in New Orleans and I desperately wanted to make a call on it because I was like, holy crap, it's a payphone, but it cost 50 cents. I had no change as you would imagine. And also I was like, I don't know any local numbers because I'm in New Orleans.
Well, I remember the Boardwalk had a payphone and I had the number. I put the number in my phone so we could just randomly call it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did anyone ever pick up?
I'm sure it's been 100,000 years.
Oh man, that's so cool. I do not remember that.
I think,
at all. That's
and
really
I want to
funny.
say that number has like followed my phones. So I think I still have Boardwalk payphone in my phone, even though that
I wish I had known about this. I would have told like anytime we were at the boardwalk, we were at the beach, I would have been like, let's call the boardwalk phone.
yeah, we're like, hey, how's the weather there?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the price of dollies? Buy, sell.
No, I would have been like, I'm calling from the future. Like, walking by you right now, there's a man in a mustache. He's extremely dangerous.
Throw candy corn at him.
Yes, exactly. So Arnold is watching this whole sketchy stalking thing happen with Napoleon and Radon Chong, and he is then the third person trailing Napoleon, who is trailing Radon Chong. Mm-hmm. He gets her a second time in the parking lot with a little bit of casual harassment, and she tells him to screw off. And then Arnold grabs her, which of course scares the bejesus out of her.
Well, I thought it was him. I thought it was the bad guy.
Yeah, I did too, but then I realized the hand was up on her shoulder, and I was like, oh, he can't reach that high.
Yeah, he's a little baby.
He's a tiny man. And Arnold has her get in the driver's seat, and then for reasons that are never explained and make absolutely no sense in the movie, he pulls the other seat out of the car with his bare hands. He just rips the side passenger out.
This movie was written by a child.
I thought it was, he's doing that so he can like lay down on the floor and hide. But then seconds later, he's just sitting on the floor. I was like, what is the point of this?
But also, wouldn't he have just climbed into the back seat and laid down?
I don't think Arnold could fit in the backseat of that car. Like, I think if the plot was Arnold needs to hide and not be seen, he couldn't fit in that car. He would have had to remove the seat, but he doesn't do that.
It is 100% this movie was written by a man watching his 4-year-old play with a G.I. Joe and a Barbie dream car.
It's like Axe Cop.
Yes, exactly. This is Axe Cop.
So they do this like follow Napoleon thing, and he convinces this woman to help him, but he has still not asked her name. We find out later her name.
Explain what the dealio is fully.
Right. He's like a psycho kidnapper at this point. Later she does get a name, but I don't think there's ever a sequence in the movie where he's like,
They don't introduce themselves.
They keep calling him. They keep calling him Matrix. I forget what his character's name is.
It's John Matrix. But his last name is Matrix.
Oh, I thought that was like his code name. But like, at no point is he like, I'm John. This is my daughter, Alyssa Milano. Here's us feeding a deer. Here's us eating ice cream.
I wrote baby cookie throughout all of my notes. There's no horses and elevators in this mall, though, so I have to dock some points.
That is a problem. So he explains the situation finally. He's like, look, I need you. That guy knows where my daughter is. I need you to get him to come over here. So just like tell him you're in love with him and that you want to see him. And she's like, okay, I'll do it. She goes into this bar. She wisely asks for help from a security guard. I don't fault her for doing it.
I agree. But then later she pretends she didn't.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring
ma'am,
up.
we all saw what you did, which is fine.
Yeah.
Self-preservation, but like own up to it.
Yeah. So she asked this discount Peter Weller to help her with this Arnold situation. So he starts radioing the other mall cops. Meanwhile, Napoleon is making a deal for some passports with just a random man in this hip bar. For some reason located in a mall. It's packed. It's playing like loud, thumpy club music. Everyone's having a good time. Why is this in a mall?
I don't get it because it feels like I was gonna try and it feels like an Irish pub, but it's playing thumping music.
The sets for the outside of this and the inside of this are completely
they don't match.
The outside says there's a fish special.
Yeah, it's an Irish pub on the outside.
Yes.
And then on the inside it's the bar from Gremlins.
Right, it's just cocaine mirrors and nonsense.
Well, like I was thinking about it, I don't know that I would necessarily believe Arnold if I were in her shoes.
No, I don't have any problem whatsoever with this character being like, I need to get myself out of this situation. Like, if it was me, I would tell that cop, and then I would try to I would go to the bartender and be like, hi, I'm being kidnapped. The person who kidnapped me is not in here. Is there a back exit that I can get to safety?
Mm-hmm. Can I hide behind the bar even?
Yeah, exactly. But instead, Arnold just starts like wailing on security guards.
Well,
he's
and
just like
the sleazy bad guy. What's his name?
I keep calling him Napoleon, but I think it's
because he's short. I was like, why is he calling him Napoleon? He's short.
Yes.
He says the phrase
Sully. His name is Sully.
He's talking to the guy, which honestly, him and the guy feels very Jurassic Parky. Like it feels like giving the canister to Nedry.
Yeah.
But they're talking about the bar, and he's like, this bar used to be great for hunting slash. And it's one of those, like, your grandparents say a phrase that you're like, was that racist? Like, you hear it, and you're like, wait a minute. And then,
in this case, deeply misogynist instead.
3 seconds later, your brain's like, that's what that means. And I was like, oh, Jesus, gross. God, you're the worst.
He follows the woman outside. She's watching Arnold beat up all these rent-a-cops, and he's like, he grabs at her purse and he's like, I need a quarter.
He screams at her for a quarter, paws at her purse till he gets one. And I was like, and you don't think something's wrong now, ma'am?
Yeah. So he's like frantically trying to dial this payphone. Arnold sees it. He does this incredible leap over the balcony that he's on.
A Dwayne The Rock Johnson leap.
Yes. In Skyscraper. He's just like, lands on the stairs, runs up to it, and then he proceeds to pick up, he's like shaking the capsule phone booth he's in, so the guy's freaking out, and then he picks it up over his head. Empty, this thing would weigh 200 pounds.
I was going to say, this is at least 350, 400 pounds.
And this has a full-grown, albeit short, but a full-grown man inside it. Yeah.
But he shakes it like a vending machine where your candy bar's stuck.
Yes.
And I was like, what's he trying to accomplish?
Give me my Sully. I want my Sully.
Put the phone down. No.
Yeah, I was expecting him to like punch through the glass and then like slam the guy's head with the phone or something.
Yeah. Instead, I was like, also, so he lifts it over his head like a strong man. And I was like, is he just going to throw him over the edge? Just
That would
like
have been so cool.
this like tube of death.
Yeah, and then make a quip about like Niagara Falls.
or like your call's been cut short.
Yes.
I wrote all caps. This is pandemonium. Money flying, bullets flying, bodies flying. This is a stunt show.
Yes. Yeah, there's the guy who sold him the passports. He pulls out a gun, then he gets shot. Then this briefcase of money goes flying. I didn't get, and I really wanted the scene of like people frantically like
Grabbing for money, because I probably would have.
Absolutely.
Because that's in like hundreds.
Oh, for sure it is. Probably non-sequential too.
And then what are they gonna do? Like, you didn't do anything technically illegal.
Right, it's just loose money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even stolen money. I mean, it could be stolen
probably
money,
stolen,
but we don't know
or it's
that.
laundered. But like, it's free money that's raining from the ceiling.
Right.
And then she pushes a cop down the stairs.
Yes, she gives this guy a huge hip check, and he goes ass over tea kettle.
More movies need people pushing cops downstairs, I think. Because it's a mall. It's a long angled mall staircase.
Yes.
So it's like Death Becomes Her. He like stops in the middle of the landing and then keeps going.
And then he like crawls up and he's like, "Lady, what are you doing?"
And then Arnold So I thought these were slides. I thought there were like 3-story slides in this mall because there's all these.
Oh yeah.
There's all these like colorful.
They look like
tubes.
Wacky inflatable tube men, but permanently affixed.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, are these slides? No, I bet they're in art. I bet it's like just colored pipes. And then he rips one, and I was like, no, these are inflatable. And he Tarzan swings onto the elevator.
Yeah, it's some real Errol Flynn business.
And I wrote that this mall mayhem is sort of, for me, on par with the Gator wedding from Alligator.
Oh, yes, I would agree with that. When you said gator wedding, I was picturing like a wedding of alligators.
Two
and I was
alligators
like,
getting hitched.
I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I got into our gator who was testifying in front of Congress. I was like, well, maybe he got married and I just missed it.
Gator testifying in front of Congress?
Yeah, in the movie Gator, we talked about this gator having to testify in front of Congress, and he was like, very sophisticated. And I was like, He's
got glasses on the tip of his nose.
Right, and I was like, did we do a fiction where the gator in Gator who testified in front of Congress then got married, and I don't remember the bit? I do declare, Clarabelle, you are the finest gator these eyes have ever seen.
You two may
please do.
You two may lock jaws and death roll. They just death roll through the cake.
But Napoleon gets into his Porsche and he's running away. Arnold decides to steal her car. Where he gets the keys, I'll never know. I guess
I think
maybe
they were
he
just
had
there.
Them. Oh, they just left the keys in her convertible? That seems
it's
smart.
like in movies where people leave their keys in their sun visor for some unknown reason.
That's true. That's true. They actually do a bit with the car keys in the sun visor in the new Terminator.
Oh, really?
Like calling back to that scene in one of the other ones. Huh. Yeah. The keys aren't there in this one, but anyway. He's driving her car that doesn't have a passenger seat. She comes screeching outside, being like, "Hey, don't leave without me." And I was like, "Lady, what? Like, why do you want to continue being involved?"
I don't know.
Maybe. But she gets into where there's no passenger seat, and I wanted the really funny bit of her like buckling into the back seat.
Well, I wanted the visual of like Arnold at a normal person in a car height, and then like her forehead.
Yes,
like the car head on, and it's just her little forehead.
But like he would have to put the seat so far back, he'd basically be sitting next to her anyway. And I wanted them just like slightly different seating positions.
Yeah, I agree.
But this is where you said it already, but she's like, "Oh, I helped." And I was like, "Did you though?"
She's like, I very nicely tried to help you get your daughter back. And I was like, "You didn't. The first chance you got, you went to the police," which like, fine, right. I get it, but be honest.
Yeah, you made the right call for your own safety, but don't act like you're the savior here.
And so they run the bad guy off the road and then just crash, like they kiss a telephone pole at 85 miles an hour.
It would go all the way through the hood into the passenger area. It doesn't, but it comes
very
close.
It basically would have. It should have just like cut the car in half like a table saw.
like a Herbie the Love Bug extra.
It goes right in half.
And then Arnold's like holding her half of the car together and they're driving down the road. That's what it should be. Like, hold on. And he's just like, dragging it along like a motorcycle.
He's like Fred Flintstoning it.
Yeah. He's putting his feet through the ground, or through the floor rather.
So he gets out of the car, it picks up the bad guy, and he's like, I'll kill you if you don't tell me. And I was like, you need him. You can't threaten. You gotta break a finger. Like,
right.
Keep breaking fingers till you're like, I'm gonna start breaking arms. You gotta tell me what I need.
He also had like dug through his pockets and found this hotel room key he just before he dangled him. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna go to this hotel. He's like, I already knew that. That's not helpful. Mm-hmm. And then this, I think, is the one-liners in this movie are like a little too dumb for me personally. Like but the problem is like I want one in the movie. This movie has one for every bad guy. Yes. Yeah. This one is the best one by far. And it's like, you needed another person to look at this script and be like, this one rules, the rest of these go.
Exactly.
We don't need them. But he dangles him by the ankle and he's like, remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied. And he just lets him go down the cliff. It is a beautiful dummy fall.
It should have been a bag of soup.
It should have absolutely been a bag of soup. That's like one of the few disappointments of the action in this movie.
I feel like Hollywood just needs to make like vaguely people-shaped plastic bags.
They use something very similar to that later in this movie.
And just like fill up the plastic bag with soup, throw some clothes on it, and then throw it over the edge.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, like we said before, the only person who did it in the whole of everything is Shane Black. Mm-hmm. In the modern movement, he's the only bag of super. They steal his car and they drive up to the hotel.
His car is on its side, off the road. And Arnold's like, oh, hang on. And he just like pulls it so it lands smashing on its wheels. And he's like, now we have a car. And I was like, I don't know a lot about cars, but I feel like you don't.
The engine would probably be okay.
The axles and the wheel. No. And everything else.
I didn't say the axle and the wheels. I said the engine would probably be okay. I had a friend in high school who drove a very old Honda Civic, and it was the lightest car I've ever been around. Like, I think if I really had to, I probably could have lifted a corner of it. And we always joked about like, oh, it'd be really funny. Like, we could definitely flip this car over. Like, we could just roll it onto the roof without much effort. We never did that, of course. That would be horrible.
We grabbed a bunch of friends and we picked it up and we would move it. He'd park in one spot and we'd move to a different parking spot.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably could have. I never did that, especially back playing football. I'm sure we could have done that. Just like our grandmother's old Toyota Tercel. That thing weighed like 600 pounds when it was empty.
Yeah, it was
like
nothing.
A go-kart. Yeah. Anyway, we cut from that to Dan Hedaya and Alyssa Milano and the bad guys getting into a Jeep on this island. And it's this beautiful matte painting of switchbacks up into the mountain. Mm-hmm. So we get to the hotel. And they're searching the hotel as Bill Duke arrives. Also, everyone in this movie drives convertibles, which I like.
Which I'm into.
I get it. Yeah. But it's just an odd, unusual detail. There's almost... Even the bad guy car and the Jeep that the guys drive to chase Arnold have no top. It's really funny.
Which lends itself to my theory that this is written by watching children play, because all children's toy cars don't have roofs so that the toys can go in and out.
Yeah, it's very unusual to have a roof in a G.I. Joe vehicle. This is a good point. There were some, before you tweet at me, I had them as well. I know that there were roofed G.I. Joe vehicles.
But wouldn't the roofs be removable so the G.I. Joes could get in there?
Or like pivotable. Yeah. I do remember one vehicle I had with a rigid roof and doors, and it was always a pain in the butt to put dudes in and out of it. But I did have at least one Humvee type vehicle like that.
Yeah, I remember when because I don't think none of my toys had vehicles. They weren't really part of what I played with. But when my neighbors did, the neighbors had those. It was always like the door with no door on it, and I was like, how do I get this action figure in here?
Right. So they're searching the hotel as Bill Duke arrives in his convertible, and Arnold goes. He's like, "Oh, mess up the bed," and then he rips her shirt open. Like he doesn't unbutton it; he rips the button.
Yeah, I was like, you could have unbuttoned or ask her to unbutton it.
Sure, she could have agency. He turns the shower on and he's like, act like you just slept with him. And he hides behind the door. And instead of just immediately like stabbing Bill Duke in the kidney or just like in the knee or doing something to disable him, he taps him on the shoulder and punches him. And it leads to this really long fight, which is amusing. But I was like, wait a minute,
You
what
could've
is
just
the
stabbed
strategy
him.
here?
Just shoot him in the kneecap.
Right, exactly. Or, anything, any move. Hit him in the head with a vase. Like, Scooby-Doo it. But they have this big fight, and Bill Duke is, like, shooting his gun and missing, and it almost hits Radon Chong a bunch of times. And then
Also,
Arnold
definitely would
gives
have hit
him-
the people in the next room.
That's what I was getting at. Arnold double kicks him through the door that adjoins the rooms, and not only are these people still in there, they're still having sex.
Yeah, I was like, this is just the gratuitous, unnecessary nudity that kind of has to happen in
Right,
80s movies,
right.
which is annoying. But can you imagine being that couple? Like, you're in the middle of sex and two full-grown men, sweaty, bleeding, and guns ablazing, burst through the door?
No, but I also couldn't imagine what happened
You would
90
just
seconds
poop.
earlier.
Like, you would just...
But I also can't imagine what happened 90 seconds earlier is that they were naked and having sex, and then a bunch of bullets came through the wall.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's like, I also would have shit my bed then, too.
Well, no, what I'm picturing now is, like, bullets go off, they stop boning, the guy gets out of bed to, like, go towards the door and be like, what's happening? And then they burst through, and then he poops. And this is the only sequence where I was like, Radon, right? Radon?
Mm-hmm.
Where Radon was a little too quippy. Like, she felt a little too Joss Whedon-y in this moment, where she kept being like,
Yeah,
these two men need to eat less red meat. And I was like, okay, that's not our best work.
they got too much testosterone. I was like, all right.
I mean, yes,
We don't
they
need
do,
this cutaway. This isn't funny. Like, who's laughing at this joke? Who's this joke for? Also, I didn't say it, but this is a supernatural ass hotel room. This is
Yes,
like,
it is. This is a 60s, 70s.
Sam and Dean Winchester special is what this is.
Now I want to edit it where they burst through the door into Sam and Dean.
Yes, that would be delightful.
Sam. Is that show still on? Is that out there
Yep.
with Grey's Anatomy of like that's still on the air?
So it was supposed to end, and then COVID happened, and now the final 6 or 7 episodes are going to air starting in October.
Are they squeezing that out to be a new quote unquote new season?
No, everyone is talking about, like, I mean, I don't think they would do that. They were talking about it ends at season 15, and then the COVID happened, and there was like, I think they had to film 2 more and do effects for like 6 or 7, so they're doing the effects and finishing, but I think it's going to be like a 6-episode run here in October.
I just was curious if if they're like, oh, technically we ran for 16 seasons.
I keep trying to. I'm like, all right, can someone tell me where I can jump in on this last arc? Like, I don't want to watch all 6, but I'll watch probably 4. Like, tell me where it's really going to start.
4 episodes?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant seasons.
No. I got into double digits of Supernatural, but I can't. Like, I tried to watch. I pulled up. I did like a best episodes featuring X, and I found one that I'd never seen before, and I put it on, and I was like, "There's like 6 characters now that I don't know that are regulars." It's too
what
far
I would
gone.
love is a supercut of previously on Supernatural.
Yeah.
So, but
it's
like, look,
4
just give
hours
me the first 4 seasons worth of previously on Supernatural. I'll get through it in half an hour, and then I can be caught up.
Well, I mean, you watched it for a while.
I watched
the end
I
of
think
each season.
probably like the first 5 or 6 seasons. I was just talking
So
about
the end
about it.
The end of each season has like a multi-episode arc that is like one.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a movie. So I just needed someone to tell me what that is so I can get back on. That's what I'm saying.
Fair.
Because presumably 2 of these are about stuff I don't care about.
Once they got into the whole like heaven and hell and demons and or the heaven and hell and like angels, I was like, we're in the weeds, guys.
Well, the trailer for this is the end of the show is them trying to kill God.
Guys, this show started out as spooky daddy issues. Like, what happened?
We talk about Supernatural an unhealthy amount on this program, by the way.
Kind of.
For a show that collectively we have watched for 15 seasons, but not all 15 seasons.
Between the two of us.
Yes.
Well, I think it's just a show about brothers.
No, I like Supernatural just fine. I'm just saying, we talk for a show that is not about Supernatural, it comes up more often than it should.
On the Supernatural pod.
Right, exactly.
That'll be our
Win
next
chatter.
podcast, is just me trying to guess the plots of supernatural episodes and being like, so a mermaid, right?
I feel like I slipped that in there and it got lost. So I'm going to say again, the Wind Chatter podcast.
I like that. That's very clever.
Anyway,
Enough
he
about
kills Bill Duke. back to the
Podcast
movie.
about Commando.
Back to the movie already in progress. He throws Bill Duke back into the correct hotel room, and he lands on this mysterious spike that I still don't know what it. But I think it's supposed to be like a broken bedside table part, but it is just a spike.
Yeah,
it's as if Giles snuck into the room and was like, "Hold on, and here we go."
All right, Buffy.
Oh,
that's another show I want to
Buffy.
I feel like they should have just had him like because this hotel room has those very 80s 90s clear glass cubes.
Yeah,
like how the wall will be made of those clear like it's like ice cubes, so everything's kind of like wobbly and you can't really see through it.
Yeah.
He should have just like smashed through those and been like all smashed up.
Yeah, no, it would have been much better. So they go look through his car, and she finds a receipt for airplane fuel.
Like Nancy Drew point and click game bullshit. Like I'm imagining they open the trunk and you have to like click on the oil can and the feather and the flower hat.
Yes. And she's like, "Oh, I'm taking flying lessons, and this is where my instructor buys his fuel." And I was like, "Oh, that's why you're still in the movie."
I was like, "Oh, she's studying to get her pilot's license. Look at this backstory and character arc."
No, I liked it, but I was like genuinely perplexed as to why she was still. I was like, certainly she's going to have a purpose at some point.
She's gonna do something, right?
Yeah. So they sneak into this warehouse, at which point we've learned her name is Cindy, although I don't know how. Like, he just is like, "Come on, Cindy, I'll help you up." And I'm like, wait, who? What? Who's Cindy? What's happening? Is there another person? Oh.
He knows my name.
God, that movie is so stupid.
It really is. You can't think about it. It's like it's any Christmas movie. The second you stop and think about it too much, you're in quicksand.
No, I really enjoy it. It's like this basically
is the extreme Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, this is the R-rated Jingle All the Way. It's like, instead of getting a toy, it's his kid, but it's just the same.
Well, no, wouldn't
like
that
Arnold...
that could also apply to the one with Eliza Dushku? Is that True Lies?
Yes.
The end of True Lies is just the end of Jingle All the Way.
That is true. I think
there are about 7 beats you can put in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Well, it's like he has all 3 of these movies, True Lies, Commando, and Jingle All the Way, have a major set piece in a mall. Mm-hmm. Have
you're
Arnold, right. They have a major mall piece. They have Arnold with a reluctant sidekick who is not white. I'm not sure. Wait. No, I guess his sidekick in most of True Lies is Tom Arnold, so that kills that.
I mean, she's not a sidekick, but it's who's the woman?
You're thinking of Eraser.
No. That's Vanessa Williams.
Williams, yeah.
I'm thinking of the villainess.
Oh, I'm talking about like Arnold's sidekick, though.
Oh, I wouldn't say he has a sidekick. He's not in the like Tom Arnold's not in the field. He's not a field agent.
He's in the van. He's like talking in the earpiece. Okay.
In the field versus in the van.
All I'm saying in this Super Nintendo game,
if someone
of True
came
Lies,
up to me in a bar and was like, "Hey, I'm a secret agent. I work in the field," and then I find out what he meant was I sit in the van. No, how dare you?
All I'm saying is, in the nearly impossible Super Nintendo game True Lies, Tom Arnold is in the van.
That game is up there with the Star Wars game of like, what's the point? I don't know what's happening because I can't get 5 minutes in.
That you lose. Yeah. But
back when
Tom
video
Arnold...
games were just like, how do we make kids cry?
No, I think what it really was is like, if we make 25% of it impossible, we don't have to make the other 75.
So you think there's no there's would be the best game. Like the best thing to like discover. That would be the best discovery of 2020, that like all these classic video games didn't have endings because the beginning was so hard.
Right. They were just like, I don't know. And then there's that bit where you can like put in a cheat code and jump to other levels, and they were just like, there was just no thread connecting them.
Yeah, it's like, just those levels.
Yeah. Anyway, all three of those movies are very, very similar and have really similar pieces. I think True Lies is sort of in betwixt
This
so
and
maybe
that.
this is the R and the True Lies is the PG-13 and the Turbo Man is a PG.
Yeah.
But it's all the same flavor of nonsense.
It is. It's a very persistent accent that nobody seems to notice.
Right, exactly. They sneak into this warehouse and then they decide that they need to go, like, they're like, oh, there's no airplane fuel here, so they must be going something else. They find a picture of a seaplane that they have in this thing.
It looks like this
it's a fucking production still of this movie.
No, it looks like you hired a private investigator to catch your plane cheating on you. And this is the photo they hand you in the manila envelope.
The plane is like behind a window holding a curtain open in lingerie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is where the movie could have easily been like, oh, this is the kind of plane fuel. Like if that's what's she called? An amphibious plane? I think she called it that.
Yeah. I think it's like seaplane.
Seaplane. That's the kind of fuel it would take, and about how much and what. But they're like, they pull out again. Nancy Drew point and click game. They pull out the invoice and hold it next to the picture as though that tells you anything. And she's like,
right.
There. Oh, it says this is a seaplane and 250 gallons. And if you look at this map, that is exactly how many gallons you would need to fly to the island and back. And so that must mean. And I was like, yeah, we got it. Like you can just say, oh, that's the plane they're fueling with this invoice.
Right. But it's like I appreciate that she gets something to do, frankly, and that she does okay, you could fly this far, which means. But I wanted her either it needs to be fully that she's got a sextant and she's measuring on this map to figure out the distance, or it just needs to be hand waved further because this is in the middle and it's worse.
Yeah, it very much reminded me of Sigourney Weaver in Galaxy Quest, where she's like, "Look, I have one job on this ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it." Okay.
Exactly. So they decide that they're going to go shopping.
He's going to crash not a forklift.
It's a
digger.
It's a oh my god.
It's got the Scoopy bucket.
A bulldozer.
No, because it's got the is it a bulldozer? I thought it had the Scoopy bucket.
Yeah. It does have a Scoopy bucket. That's a bulldozer.
I thought bulldozers were the snow shovel fronts.
That's what this has.
I thought this was
No. You're talking about a digging arm.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes on the back of a bulldozer. So that's sometimes the back of a bulldozer.
Okay.
That's kind of a
I was
crane arm.
clearly
This
not.
is the front of
I was
a bulldozer.
not a construction vehicles kid.
Yes.
As you might have guessed.
I believe that is technically an excavator, what you're describing.
Okay, that would make sense.
I have found a child's play diagram that is explaining that. That is an excavator as opposed to the bulldozer. And then there's also
it's not called a Scoopy bucket?
There's also a backhoe loader, which is kind of both on one vehicle.
Oh. So yeah, he crashes this construction vehicle through a storefront. And then there's a mini montage of them looting the store.
Yeah. It's a surplus store that also has every possible gun known to man. You can't walk into a store and buy an active grenade. That doesn't exist.
He walks up to the back wall and pulls on a candlestick so that the wall opens and reveals this room of guns, including a rocket launcher.
Yes, multiple rocket launchers. He gets 50 grenades. He's just loading bags up.
And then of course the police showed up because you smashed a store. You didn't Catwoman break the glass with your fingernail.
Or I don't know, go around the back and break in the back door as opposed to the glass front door.
There's a lot of bravado with smashing the plate glass windows.
So she's chasing him in the convertible and they pull up to the stoplight together and the cops are making eyes at her. And the cops keep driving in their SWAT van that he's in the back of. And she picks up the rocket launcher and she aims it at the van. And I'm like, what is the end game here? So she launches, and it turns out, oops, it's backwards.
I love that because I would do the same thing.
Oh, for sure. Then she turns it around, and she launches a missile at this van that he's in. But I was like, what is the end game? He's in there. What are we doing?
Because this is a stunt show, Trip.
So she blows up the car.
Normally you'd be able to see the wire that connects the sparkler to the van so that the piston can knock it over and it looks like it exploded.
Yeah, she blows up the van and he hops out of it and the two cops aren't dead. It's like, we have to make sure this woman didn't kill anybody. We just have to make sure that she's just saving Arnold and nothing else. And he asks her how she figured it out and she says, I read the instructions, which I thought was a good line.
That was cute. It was the first, when he's in the back of the truck, he tells them like, oh, call Army General so-and-so and he'll sort this all out. And they're like, yeah, okay, buddy. But I'm like, I feel like that's a thing. If someone said, if you contact this Army General, they will explain everything, you probably would just do that, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that they would at least, entertain that request.
It's the first of many times that happens, and it doesn't happen until later. Finally,
so
Alyssa Milano is trying to escape.
Oh, right.
Because she's been sitting in this room, and I was like, baby Cookie, you got to get out of it. Like, do anything.
Yeah. You clearly have been trained for some of this business.
I was like, where's my Three Ninjas moment?
Right. We cut to Arnold and Radon Chong in the plane trying to take off as these gunmen close in, and she's like frantically struggling to get the plane ready to go as he's like shooting out the back door.
Also, this is presumably their only seaplane. So firing guns at it feels like a wildly stupid idea.
Yeah, and it's like
the bad guys,
showing the bullet.
Like, if this is the bad guy's only seaplane and that's the only way to get to their island, maybe don't fire guns at it.
Yeah, although I do feel like there's a special like bonus that you would be eligible for if you foiled the plot of someone trying to steal and siege the base. I don't know. Like, maybe. I feel like maybe that's on page 88 of the Dan Hedaya book that we referenced earlier. It's like the special bonus structure that they're all basically impossible to get, but
and then
like if you kill two guys with one bullet, it counts extra
because you're saving some money.
Right.
But so they're driving the seaplane on the water. And Arnold somehow instinctively knows that if he flips this switch, it'll go fast enough to fly. But like,
he pushes the throttle. He doesn't hit the switch. He like pushes the throttle. But it's still stupid. It's like you gave her one job in the movie, and it's like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna make it. Make it a near miss, and it's fine. Like, make her a good pilot instead of Arnold being like, oh, you just have to go faster. Yeah. Like, what is the point of this?
Like, make the wing like clip the top of a sailboat or something.
Exactly, or it knocks off a part of the floater or whatever.
Yeah.
This is when we get Bill Paxton for 30 seconds of screen time where they're like, you're in protected airspace. Remove yourself.
Once again, so they're flying over a military base, and he goes, contact military general so-and-so, and he'll verify my identity. And they're like, we will shoot you down if you don't get out of our airspace.
And it's like, they obviously need to do that. I get that. But then her secondary part is like, oh yeah, the planes from LAX avoid this for that reason. And I was like, the planes from LAX certainly could get cleared to go through this airspace. They're like actually needing to go there. What are we doing here?
Well, I just like I want to hear the news report that's like another commercial airline was gunned down over this airline. The United States military shot down a commercial airplane again today.
For the fifth time in as many weeks, a Air Force base has killed 300 American civilians for no apparent reason.
We're now beginning to suspect that they killed Amelia Earhart.
Like, what are you saying? This is complete nonsense.
It's madness. So they land their plane, and he's like, park it here 100 miles offshore so they won't see us. And I was like, what, are you just going to swim to shore with your duffel bags full of guns?
No, he's got a rubber dinghy that he's going to get in the tiniest briefs possible.
Had a rubber dinghy. Don't know where that came from.
I assume that was like safety equipment on the plane for like crashes.
Oh, maybe. Because it is a small plane. It's like a 3 or 4 person plane.
Yeah.
But he packed a Speedo, a change of clothes, and makeup.
He did, yes. That was all part of his surplus grabbing. He was like one mysterious switch that I'm going to flip on and off 9 times to make sure it's working. 40 grenades, 5,000 bullets,
and a sexy gay army man costume in a bag.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is my problem when I watch movies like this. I enjoy them on like a stupid level, but to me, this movie is as real as Lord of the Rings, right?
As Predator.
Yeah, anything completely fantastical. Like it's Die Hard is as real as Lord of the Rings. It's nonsense. The one man army thing is a stupid trope that only works in movies. But I feel like for a certain percentage of the population, these are just masturbatory fantasies. Like if you look at this part where Arnold gears up, there's like a huge chunk of people in our country who dress like this and run around like idiots thinking they're actually, it's like, you don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is fake. Like he's a G.I. Joe. This is a movie, for fuck's sake. Like
you look like you're playing dress up in your dad's clothes. You stupid fuck.
Right. Like Arnold puts on this vest and he's got like 6 guns hanging off of it, 2 bandoliers
of the
grenades.
Vest are like clinging for dear life because he's so beefy.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't look like that, you shouldn't be allowed to dress
toothpick arms
like
look stupid.
Yeah, if you don't look like Arnold, you shouldn't be allowed to put this much gear on. I'm sorry,
I agree.
It's stupid.
Or unless or you can be an active serviceman.
Sure, but they don't dress like that because it's too much shit to carry around. Arnold is carrying 200 pounds of munitions in this.
Yeah, you're right.
Easily. He'd
definitely be over encumbered in a video game and walk slow.
Yes, of course he would. He's got like 40 guns.
You pick up that pencil and it's like, you're carrying too much, and now you can't run.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, well, if I combine this into that and put this over here.
I guess I don't need these 3 pistols. I'll drop those.
Right. So at this point, Bennett tells Dan Hedaya that Arnie is coming.
Because they finally discovered the dead body.
Right. Oh, yeah, the plane lands with the dead guy on it, and he's got, like, this little trickle of blood out of his nose.
I couldn't figure. I was like, where did that blood come from?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I guess a severe neck injury would probably do that, but...
I guess. I'm not a doctor.
But Arnold starts his one-man army attack, and he gets 2 guys with a knife, and then he has this like spring-loaded knife launcher that he uses to kill one guy.
I thought he was throwing guns, but throwing knives, but that makes so much more sense that it's a knife.
Well, the first
knife
2
gun.
The first 2 are thrown. The third one is a knife gun. I don't know what the deal is.
Do you think he and Sly Stallone like collabed over like, what did you do in your movie?
Well, yes, but not.
I tied a bunch of people to a bed and electrocuted them. That sounds cool.
Like,
I'm going to electrocute a guy in my movie now.
Yeah, like I wonder if they were just like basically jerking each other off with action movies.
What do you think if I ripped a pipe out of the wall and threw it into a guy and a bunch of steam came out of it? And I said, I threw it like a javelin and all this steam came out. And I said, hey, Bennett, let off some steam. Oh, that sounds like it'd be really funny.
Very good line.
Yeah.
What do you think about the robot I put in Rocky 4?
I hate it.
Out.
But wait, like for 30 or 40 years.
You almost sound like a G.I. Joe villain.
Yes, I'm not.
You're like a German G.I. Joe villain.
The problem is like, much like my Tango and Cash, Jack Palance, like I have to do a very specific thing to go into it, and I don't want to just have this whole podcast. Right. Well, with Jack Palance, it's that like, gonna have to get Tango and Cash. Like, it's the sucking in noise, which is objectively less annoying than if I started every Arnold impression by going, Jamie! Like, nobody wants to hear. Yeah, like, I don't want to have to delete 1,000 Jamies, so I'm just trying to launch myself into the impression.
Yeah, I get it.
Middling success. After he kills the guy with the knife launcher, he just starts mowing dudes down, and then he pulls out this grenade or explosive device. Somehow he had the time to set a bunch of explosives.
Well, they show him setting them. He like goes to each little hut and like sets an explosive device.
Yeah, but that would like when you see the scale of what he has exploded, he was doing that for like a good 90 minutes.
You mean Disaster Canyon on the backlot tour at Disney's Hollywood Studios?
But I love this explosion. It's really great. It's practical. Things are getting actually blown up. But they shot it from like 1,000 angles and just like roll it through. It's like
they blew up once and they were like, we got to get every camera angle.
Right. So there's like maybe 90 seconds of this. Did you notice the dummies?
No.
So there was a bunch of like soldiers standing in front of buildings as they blew up, and I'm using air quotes on the word soldier. But instead of them like doing it like you do for like hiding a scarecrow, where you make a post and then you put it up one leg and up to the shoulder, they have very visible support posts between their legs. And so when it shows them from the side, it's just very clearly like a T stand with a dummy leaning against it, like an actual scarecrow. Yeah, it's very funny. And then of course, like they get blown up and there's just like limbs flying everywhere. And
they're really good explosions. They're all practical. It's great.
Yeah, agreed.
Baby Cookie got pushed out one board.
Well, she's very small. It's not like she would need many boards.
No, I agree. But she popped out one single board with the doorknob, and then Bennett hulks completely through the wood because
yes,
this is children.
Yeah. There are multiple times in this sequence where a full-grown man dives through wood or glass and wood, and you're like, well, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
you could have gone any other way.
Could have,
yes.
Maybe shot at it a bunch.
Or just like walked out of the room and gone through a door elsewhere. Like presumably, this palace's layout a little better than the child does. So there's a million squibs and shots and explosions.
This is the finale of the stunt spectacular.
Right. This is where Arnold kills like every guy who signed up to be in not Cobra Kai. The wrong Cobra. G.I. Joe Cobra.
A karate a dojo and just start shooting 11-year-old kids.
I heard you made fun of my friend Daniel. Now you die.
Sweep this leg. And he just like shoots them all in the kneecap.
He just like walks up to Billy Zabka and snaps his neck. Wax on, break off.
God, this is such a stunt spectacular. Like he's just explode. Like he fires the rocket launcher, turns around, fires it again. It's so explodey.
This is the cool 4-barrel rocket launcher that people turned into an iPhone case when there was that iPhone that has 4 cameras in the back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's an iPhone with 4 parallel 4 corners. Yeah. So there's a case where it's like him holding the rocket launcher, but the cutout is that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But he goes to hide in a garden shed, and he looks around at all these implements, and I was like, oh, he's going to kill people with garden tools now because he doesn't have enough weapons.
I'm glad because it's just, this movie is 90 minutes, and at least 20 minutes of that, like, not even like, I'm not even making a joke. At least 20 minutes is shooting and explosions.
Yes.
And it gets boring.
Rapid fire machine gun. Yes. It's just, you watch... no exaggeration, not for a bit, at least a dozen dudes do the thing where they like run, get shot, throw their arms and head back and die in various ways.
Or like they flip an old over Western. A hedge.
Yes.
He scalps a dude by throwing a buzzsaw blade at him. And he cuts another dude's arm off.
Yeah, I could not believe when he reared back that machete, I was like, oh, are we going to get like a Jason? Oh my God, we are going to get like a Jason kill here.
Up till now, we haven't really seen much. Like he, broke a guy's neck. There's not a lot of visual kills. But he scalps a dude and then cuts another guy's arm off.
And like to be fair, the visual kills are people getting shot, which in this movie is just like a lot of squibs popping and they fall down. These are like very visceral.
It is too much shooting, like I said, but the stunt work is great.
Yeah, although I will say he keeps doing a thing where he like throws a grenade and like 2 guys get blown up, and these guys are doing like triple sow cows off of the explosions. Like the one dude does like a spinning tuck move and lands on his feet and then does a backward somersault, and I was like, all right, this is not the time for your tumbling routine. Yeah. You're getting blown up. Like
who's got
you just
special
are supposed
skills?
To ragdoll.
Who can tumble?
Yeah. Just like get ragdolled into a pit of foam. That's what I want.
I did really appreciate that Hideo himself grabbed a gun and like got out to start shooting. Because normally in these movies, it's like they're cowering in their desk behind a locked door.
I also think it's really interesting that the guy who you'd think is the big bad is not really the big bad. Like Bennett is the guy Arnold ultimately like wants to square off with. Yeah. Dan Hideo just happened to hire him, so he gets kind of killed. He gets
goes
killed
over a balcony.
But it's a big one. Arnold at this point has switched to his last gun, which is a shotgun, and he puts like 5 shotgun rounds into Dan Hidea's stunt double's chest, and then he goes like, and actually, if you watch, the stunt double like takes 3 or 4 steps, and he hasn't hit the wall yet, and it's like he didn't time it out right. He does, and then he grabs it, and he can take the move. But it's like he must have started a little early or something from the rehearsal because he's like, da-da-da. Yeah, it's like you see on the face like, oh, I'm supposed to hit now, and then it's not there, and he puts the arm back to find it. I love seeing little moments like that.
Yeah. So Baby Cookie.
He also has a moment where he picks up a 50 caliber machine gun, which is like a World War II era weapon that multiple men would have, like one guy would have been the bullet guy, one guy was the gun, and also you couldn't pick it up that way.
The like bandolier kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, the chain of bullets. Yeah. And like that gun is designed it's like very heavy. It's supposed to be like put down and fired on a little tripod type thing. Instead, Arnold is like free-handing it. But the continuity here of the bullets is insane. And I know like continuity errors are not even that interesting to point out, but when they're as egregious as this, it's very funny because it's like he's got his left arm, his gun's in his right hand, he's got his left arm holding the bullet, belt of bullets, and it's like it's 2 feet away from his body. He's not even holding it, it's so short. It's back to 2 feet away from his body. Now it's a foot away from his body. Then it's 2 feet, and it's like this must have been like 30 takes they cut together of him just like spraying bullets for hours. It must have been exhausting.
Oh, I'm sure. So Baby Cookie gets grabbed by Bennett, and then Bennett threatens to kill her, and Schwarzenegger, it's another one of those stupid things where he's like, you don't want to shoot me. You'd rather stab me. And I was like, or just shoot him in the face.
He shot him in the arm, and so Arnold's like, I don't even have 2 arms to fight you with.
Yeah, great. Now I'm going to shoot you in the face and kill your daughter.
Yeah.
So they fight, and it's okay.
The direction of this scene is buck wild. It is so many close-ups of both Arnold and Bennett with eyes like wide of anger, like
cocaine
super
eyes.
tight close-ups. Yeah, but they're shot from like 6 inches away. It's like I can't tell if they want to fight or fuck.
Well, I told you, if you just listen.
No, this is so sexual grunty.
Well, then, so there's also a couple like, wait, what moments? Because they're fighting in a Freddy Krueger's boiler room. And at one point, Bennett grabs the door of a furnace and swings it open. And you see that there's a full fire, like it is a fully active furnace. That door would be 100,000 degrees.
It's not even Freddy Krueger. It's like the deep bowels of a steamship.
It is that the like in that on the Titanic when you go all the way to the bottom.
Yes.
And where what's her face danced, I think. I haven't seen Titanic. Right. I don't.
No, that's not where they danced. They danced like 2 decks up from that, but that's the same general bit. But it's the size of steam boiler would heat, I don't know, 6 middle schools. It's just so big.
You know what absurd. It is? It's the boiler that heats the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Like,
yes, but it also heats 6 adjacent hotel properties. It's so ridiculous.
So this door would be 100 degrees, and they rip it off the wall and like hit each other with it. And I was like, yeah, but your hands would be gone. You would have stumps.
I was waiting for a moment like in Sudden Death where the weapon falls into the deep fryer and he just like bare hands it out of there to get and kill the guy. That's what I was like. I was waiting for him to pick up like a hot steel poker that was in there and just like jam it through Bennett's head.
Well, so they also get at one point Schwarzenegger looks like he's literally in the fire but not burning.
Yes. Yeah, his face is like flickering against it, and I was like, "Oh, is this the part where it melts away and it's a metal robot?" Oh wait, that's the other one. That's the other one.
So they have gay sex fight, and then the pipe javelin we alluded to earlier.
Well, there is a bit where he punches Bennett onto a fence, and he gets electrified for just like a minute, and then pops off and is fine.
He's like, "I'm alive."
It's like, "Oh, I'm charged up now."
It's like you're playing a video game and you accidentally hit the boss into the health box.
But it's like accidental, except it's part of the script. So it's like you think you have him beat, he gets charged up, and now he's like ready for round 2, but you don't get a power up.
Yeah. they alluded to, he javelins him with a pipe, and then steam comes out the pipe, and he says, let off some steam, and I just can't handle it anymore.
So I would be fine with this if he said it to him first. You know?
Yeah, okay, I can hear
it's
that.
Like, who is this joke for? Your child? She just what? Like, in the movie.
This is for baby Cookie.
Yeah, Alyssa Milano is watching her dad fight a man to the death with his bare hands. He rips a pipe off the wall like a Hulk, throws it through a man's body. Steam escapes it as this man's life leaves this man's eyes. And Arnold's response to that is, "Hey Bennett, let off some steam." Like, she must think her father is a madman.
I mean, well, she probably already does.
I mean, that specific sequence of events, I would be like, "There's no coming back from this."
So the military finally shows up. It's a weird end. Like, the actual ending of this
very,
movie
very, very weird ending.
is weird.
It should end there, like, let off some steam credits. That should be the end of the movie.
Well,
we don't need the denouement.
I'm fine with Cindy coming back. Like, I'm fine if it ended with, like, him on the beach with his daughter, like, carrying his daughter on the beach, and
you hear the plane land.
Cindy lands the plane, and then
Yeah.
roll credits. But, like, they had this weird, like, military conversation where he's like, I need you to come back and work for me. And it doesn't even, like, set up a sequel where Arnold's like, I'll think about it.
They specifically don't set up a sequel where he says never again. Like, I'm not going to do this
weird.
again. I wonder if that was, like, I have no idea. I couldn't find much information about the creation of this movie, but it's like, maybe Arnold had a really bad time and he was like, absolutely not, never.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, so Radon Chong lands the plane. The military's there. He's carrying Alyssa Milano. They walk up to Radon Chong. She hugs Alyssa Milano. You've never met before.
Never
she doesn't know who you are. What is happening? And
was there I meant to ask this earlier. Is there any mention of a mom? Like, mom died, mom left?
No, none whatsoever. No.
Okay.
First of all, there's very little dialogue in this movie. Like, at all. Alyssa Milano, other than the word daddy, has, like, I think 10 words. But the other thing that I realized, like, she hugs Alyssa Milano here, it's only because Hollywood is so shitty. Like, this is supposed to end with Arnold kissing the woman, and because he's white and she's black, they couldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. Not that they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't do it. That's 100%. So she hugs Alyssa Milano instead. So first I was, like, laughing at, like, that's absurd. And then I was like, oh, it's even more annoying now because it's deeply racist and shitty. That it's like, oh, God forbid there's an interracial kiss in this murder movie.
Although they didn't have to. I'm fine with them not ending up together. Like, they could just be friends.
Yeah, no, that's yes, we have established long in this podcast. We both agree that there does not need to be a romantic subplot in all of these movies. But this would 100%, if that was a white woman, they would kiss.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, they board the plane, and that's the end of Commando.
It's a weird ending.
It's a very weird ending. What are your final thoughts on this one?
It's a good hangover movie.
Yeah, it's a little loud for that.
Yeah, okay, you're right. But it's a 90-minute stupid movie.
The one other thing I want to point out, and, like, again, this is, like, really minutia stupid stuff, but this is on HBO Max right now, which we should have set up top, but the transfer on HBO Max is probably the modern Blu-ray transfer. And whatever the hell they did to, like, air quotes, clean it up, the first third of this, and eventually I was able to stop noticing it so bad, but the first third of this looks like almost every person in it is made of, like, a series of nanobots. Like, their skin is literally like creepy crawly movement because whatever they did
with like black backgrounds. I don't like any streaming service. Anytime it's a black background, it looks like it's alive with bugs.
That's probably your TV. Because you have my old TV.
It's I even on my new TV, my living room TV. It's just anytime. It still might be. It's just like that's how black looks.
But not on a Blu-ray or something like that.
Nope. I think it's just because streaming is always gonna try and save energy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But it's really egregious in the first scene where the bald guy is in bed with the woman. Like, both of their skin looks like just a bunch of crawling flies, bugs.
I didn't notice.
Arnold in the first chunk when he's with Alyssa Milano is just creepy crawly. And it could be my television, but it happens a lot in older movies. Like I have a Blu-ray copy of Young Frankenstein that's almost unwatchable because of what they did to it to clean it up. The whole screen is wiggly waggly like that. It's just crazy. But that's a minor thing. I moved to recommendations here. I would recommend this.
Yeah.
It sucks for a couple of specific, very minor reasons, but mostly is just a whole mess of fun. It's like the peak stupid Arnold movie, I think.
It's exactly what you picture when you picture a dumb Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
I'd never watched this before, but really glad that I got to. This was a real blast for me. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it's on HBO Max. It's easy to find, but
and this podcast is longer than it.
Yes, it definitely is. Might be flirting with longest ever. We've been hitting close to that mark regularly these days. But yeah, this is a super fun one. It's a great way to spend 90 minutes. A great have a couple of cocktails and put this on kind of movie for sure. Just delightfully stupid. I actually started to watch it. I think I said this on the previous podcast, but I had a few drinks, was looking for something to watch. I was like, oh, I'll watch that. And then I'll just watch it again for the podcast. And I got to the beginning where he was feeding ice cream to Alyssa Milano or vice versa. And I was like, well, I'm going to wait because I can't not be reacting to this constantly. So yeah, highly recommend. I'll be watching this one again for sure. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We really appreciate that. If you haven't yet, review the show. It seems to work better when I'm mean about it. So, hey, you listening out there, review the show, write a review. It takes 2 minutes and it helps us a lot, especially if it's on iTunes. If it's not on iTunes, send a screenshot of it to dissectingthe80s@gmail.com and we'll read it on the air. We always read our reviews. So write a review, and then most importantly, tell 2 friends. If you like the show, share it with somebody that you think would like it too, and help us spread the word out there. As we said up top, there's also patreon.com/dissectingthe80s where you can become a member of the Patreon crew and get all sorts of special perks, including a sticker and a welcome letter and a bunch of bonus content. So go check that out at patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. We are going to return in 2 weeks for the Spooktacular, but because we haven't resolved what that's going to be just yet, pay attention to the social media and we will make the announcement there as to what movie is coming next. We are very excited. That's one of our favorite times of the year, as you know.
Spooky season.
But that will be, first episode will be October 5th. We haven't 100% finalized what's coming there. We got to go back to the HQ and figure that out. So keep an eye out on social media and we'll announce that there. So we're on Facebook and at Dissect the 80s on Twitter. Thank you again so much for listening to the show. I've been Trip Leno.
I will always be Andrew Leno.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production. Ow.